So we're in a Radiant lobby, okay? So this is important to know because a play like this is not something most people in chat can call for, okay? Yeah, I can tell it's a really strong lobby, which is why I'm pointing out these really nitpicky things. Because minor inefficiencies in our play, like peaking 500 milliseconds too early and not having a split pusher A link, this is what separates Immortals from Radiance. Yeah, this is a real high yellow lobby. Okay. Nice, we get the pick we dash out. I like that. I think we've rushed this peak a bit because it's untradeable right now. We could also like try updrafting, but that's really dangerous. They could shoot us from Link. So I like that we're staying on the ground low, but I think we're rushing this first peak. We dashed out and we got a little panic. But also, we're 5-stack pushing into a Viper, which is a plan that I wouldn't sanction. So if we look at their setup earlier, so we have a gun range advantage. The natural choice would be to go B, but I understand if you don't want to do that. It's pretty predictable. But if we're going to push this Viper chamber, we can't push with all 5 through this choke point against a Viper. We need to kind of squeeze and threaten this space as well with some type of split. Yeah, I can tell it's a really strong lobby, which is why I'm pointing out these really nitpicky things. Because minor inefficiencies in our play, like peaking 500 milliseconds too early and not having a split pusher A link, this is what separates Immortals from Radiance. Yeah, one thing you can try here, I see Tens and Taric do this a lot, especially when they have these jump ups. So these jumps make noise, right? You can actually jump up, just drop down like that, and then peek lower here. And these people here, most of the time, are looking up after they hear that jump. So if you go A, you put the wall more to the left. Okay, okay. I'm going to give you the Viper wall, or the wall that I would call for in this game with Fade on my team. So we're in a Radiant lobby, okay? So this is important to know because a play like this is not something most people in chat can call for, okay? So if you call the Viper ult like this for A, it leaves this gap here, and you have your Fade and Chamber take space here while the rest of you go up main. What you do is Viper walls up at the start of the round, Fade and Chamber walk up this way, and then Fade calls her eyeball, Viper walls down, and you guys all swing, and they swing here. The real power here is you're intentionally creating this space to try and bait them to play art, because you put the wall up right away to try and entice an art player to hide there. But then you're going to put the wall down before you even hit, and Fade is going to eye here. And right as that eye lands is when you want to swing main. Because this main player is going to hear the eye art, and it's going to distract him as you swing. Here, I can show you this play. Here's where I stole this play from. Monitor. So it's Cloud9 versus V1. You see the Viper wall I was talking about in the minimap? They put the wall up. They're taking space slowly mid and main. There's the eye, and there's the swing main, and it picks off Xander, because Xander hears this eye and he gets distracted. And if anybody was trying to hide behind this wall, they'd be in a lot of trouble. And then they explode A off the pick. So that's just where I'm getting these ideas from. Show us other good Viper walls in this map. I think any Viper wall can be good if you have a plan to play around it. And any Viper wall could be bad if you don't have a plan to play around it. Like if we're in a Radiant lobby like this is, if we want to win more than we lose in Radiant, we need to coordinate. Yeah, so here we're making the same mistake. We're all grouped up A, and we have to push through this Viper orb, which is really difficult. Let me help explain this on another map. So Pearl is new, so it might be hard to see this pattern. But let's look at Breeze. And imagine we're on offense and we're trying to push B, and there's this orb here. So it's really hard for all 5 of us to push B on Breeze. And since this map's been out longer, most people know you send at least one person elbow, right? Or one person mid to threaten from the other angle as well. And this is generally how you deal with this orb. Unless you have like a KO or something. So it's the same pattern here on Pearl. It's just a new map, so the meta's less developed. But this is the pattern we need to recognize. When we lose those rounds, which is they can stall us A main, and think how do we stop them from being able to do that effectively. And on this map, it's pressuring their A link. It reduces their options significantly. Okay. Nice kill. So I wouldn't flank out anymore now. It's 5v3. It's our buy, their eco. They might just be holding us with like sheriffs, hoping to get one-tap kills and get our guns.
What's that?
Or doing that. Yeah, you say why is he there? But remember how I tell you that you should be playing your eco rounds? You have to get weird. The only way you win an eco round is by making the enemy team go, why are they doing that? That's how you win eco rounds. So when you're playing against an eco round, you have to shield yourself from all sorts of like weird dangers. You just want to play really basic and like safe. So that early aggression A main is totally fine because there's nothing super crazy that can catch you off guard. But after you get that like first kill, just come back. You know on Fracture, before the changes, how defense would like super fight hard for like arcade? Like they'd U-tilt on Pier and all push, or they do it out B main like this with a smoke. This same pattern exists on Pearl, and in pro play it's done a lot. So you can either like Viper wall across this choke B, because remember the attackers spawn over here. You have to walk all the way up here. So you put that wall up at the start, and all of you take this space B long, and you fight for it up here, where the fights are close ranged and good for your guns. So this is one option if we anticipate them hitting B, because they've got these long range guns. If we think they're coming A, you can do pretty much the same idea, where you can throw this Viper wall across here, creating a choke, and then you can try to fight for this space up here. So you just updraft, and then you don't have to come on it, but we want them to have one person looking up here after we updraft, because that's one less person who can shoot you. Yeah, now look, so you're worried about this mid pressure when they're not even pressuring it. Their last A hit, they all went A main. They made the same mistake you guys were making on offense. But you're giving them the respect that they've fixed it already, even though we've seen both duelists here. So I'd like to see us either flank out much faster or help hold this space. And our Viper's not doing a good job of holding this space. Either way now, after this round has happened, we need to make the observation of, hey, their Viper was doing a great job of keeping us A main, and it was causing us problems when we tried to rush. Why isn't the enemy team having these problems? And we need to fix our play. Now, we can't just backseat our Viper and tell her to play better. Yeah, so they're going to run it down A again, because your Viper just keeps dying. So if I'm Viper, I'd have my orb there. They go, jokes over, you're dead. I'd molly, come over here. And then if I hear them running out or I hear a flash, then I'd swing. Because they're going to be vulnerable, and I'm going to kill them real quick. Then I'd come back. And I could molly again to stall. When she's playing up here, she's giving them that fight. Potentially getting blinded is way too dangerous for her to play up here, in my opinion. Since this is solo queue, it's not good to tell this Viper how to play the game on defense. But we can instead be like, yo, Fade, could you IA? I want to aggress. So you can kind of call for some type of strat that revolves around you that therefore forces Viper to change how she's playing. Let me give you another example. So let's say you have a Sova on Ascent who always lurks alone while the rest of the team goes here. And you don't want to be like, yo, Sova, come with the team, idiot. Because he might get tilted or something. A better approach is to be like, yo, this guy's always bot mid. I want to pick him off. Sova, can you come top mid with me and dart for me? And then let's push him. And now instead of like you telling the Sova he's playing wrong and you need him to change, you're being like, yo, Sova, the enemy team's playing wrong and your util is perfect to counter it. So the same thing here, we can like metagame our own Viper and be like, oh, they're rushing A main a lot. Viper, can we wall more aggressively? And I'm going to fight with Fade for it. Something like this. And we can adjust how our Viper's playing without tilting her by telling her she's playing wrong. So we were losing some rounds on defense as well that felt unwinnable. Like that Phoenix running out, killing our Viper, and they just plant the bomb A. And it's like, well, what could we have done? We need to recognize what the real issue is, which isn't easy, but you're pretty high elo. We need to recognize that when we pushed A main, we were getting stalled by their Viper. Why can't our Viper stall them? She's playing it wrong. Now I don't want to backseat Viper, so how do we instead hold A main under those constraints? And as long as you're thinking that way, you're going to think of something that's going to improve our win rate just slightly. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to be aware of the issues we're facing and try to come up with solutions.